Two drug enforcement agents were supposed to enforce the law, and instead they were found breaking it. Agents Glover and Polos were running a sex-for-hire strip club, employing women who didn't have legal work permits. Now, these women were performing sex acts for money, and the two men were caught when the FBI began to surveil the nightclub in 2014. The FBI also found that Glover and Polos were taking illegal skims off the top of every dancer's wages. Twin Plus Bar and Go-Go Lounge owners lied on federal security forms about not having outside department work. The two were arraigned in federal court in Manhattan. Madison, is this just one stain on the DEA? Do you think this is a pervasive issue that they're having?
I definitely think it's dirty cops. I mean, it brings up an example of Michael Dowd, who was just released a couple weeks ago, and he was considered one of the dirtiest cops in the 80s and 90s. I mean, the DEA is handling cocaine, corruption with criminals, and it's unfortunate that some cops become bad cops, and they get caught up in dealings with dirt, making dirty moves as this one, and this is just a perfect example of bad apples that need to be plucked out.
Plucked out. Well, that is an excellent point, but Rolling Stone did an article called America's Dirtiest Cops a few months ago. They were outlining the pervasive reasons why DEA enforcement officers go bad. They have access to all this criminal cash. They, confiscate drugs right and left, and they sort of merge themselves in a dark underworld of activity, and it's easy to cross that line, just like these two did. Something I found interesting, the Drug Enforcement Agency head, Michelle Leinhart, resigned, not for this matter, for a different matter that boiled down to loss of confidence. But, is this just one issue again? We see this over and over with DEA.
Well, unfortunately, corruption, because they're dealing with criminals, can easily be infiltrated within our DEA. And it's unfortunate, maybe the reason she resigned was the fact that she saw too much of the truth. So maybe in the big picture is that there's too many of these instances keep popping up. So we have to, but at the end of the day, I do still believe that the DEA is trying to do good, and the corruption just has to be, and even Michael Dowd said when they came out, he was an example that the system needs to use to take these guys down, these bad cops.
Right, and how stupid can you be? You're working with law, you work for law enforcement, but to lie on security forms, they have these security forms in place to make sure that you're not doing activity that could leave you susceptible to bribery outside of the agency, but to lie on something so simple and so basic, how stupid do you have to be?
That's usually how you get caught though, right? That's what happens. They do something, they get greedy, they do something stupid, and then that's usually and then you realize that they're like, these two guys are a strip joint, and it's just seedy, it's dark, it's dirty, the way that they were treating these women, and then everything unravels whenever you really catch these criminals who are pretending to be law enforcers.
Right. Not only were they committing illegal acts, but their misogyny. With these women taking what amounted to their tips. These women are working hard for the money, and these two guys are skimming off the top of whatever they're earning. Women who shouldn't be working without the legal permission to do so, but they're just trying to make a living like everybody else. And these two guys, on top of all of their other illegal activity, were also misogynist, which is something I find particularly annoying. Well, we'd love to know what you think about the DEA and these two cops, dirty cops. Be sure and log on, post your comments below, and while you're at it, subscribe to the Lip TV 2.